Chanakya, also known as Kautilya or Vishnugupta, was a prominent ancient Indian teacher, philosopher, and royal advisor who played a crucial role in the rise of the Maurya Empire. He is renowned for his work on statecraft and economics, particularly his treatise Arthashastra. Chanakya Niti is a treatise on the ideal way of life and shows Chanakya's deep study of the Indian way of life. Chanakya also developed Niti Sutras, aphorisms, pithy sentences that tell people how they should behave. Of these well-known 455 sutras, about 216 refer to Rajneeti, the do's and don'ts of running a kingdom. Apparently, Chanakya used these sutras to groom Chandragupta and other selected disciples in the art of ruling a kingdom. Chanakya was born to a simple Brahmin family in 375 BCE and was named Kautilya at birth. Strangely, Chanakya was born with a full set of teeth, and his father, Shannon, called over a monk to explain this omen. The monk said, "This means he will grow up to become a king." Worried about his son being consumed by his ego if he became king, he decided to alter his future by breaking his teeth. Seeing this, the monk said, he is still destined to make someone else a powerful king. Chanakya grew up to be an intelligent sage. He studied all the Vedas and Shastras and traveled the country on foot. Once, when he was walking through King Nanda's kingdom, he got generous donations and decided to visit the king's palace. Upon reaching his court, he saw many Brahmins occupying the seats, waiting for donations and the king. Among the many empty seats, Chanakya chose to sit at the head of the court. One of the servants saw him sitting on the throne and went up to him. "Could you please sit in that seat?" he said, pointing to another chair. Chanakya simply placed his water pot on the seat he was pointing to. The servant tried convincing him again by pointing to another seat. "You can sit on that one if you would like." Chanakya placed another one of his belongings on that seat. This way, the servant recommended 2 more seats, and Chanakya kept his other belongings on those seats, still not getting up from the throne. Feeling agitated by his stubbornness, the servant pushed him off. Enraged by this rude behavior, Chanakya cursed him. "Beware, I will push your king out of his throne in the same way you have pushed me. I will uproot his kingdom like a great wind uprooting a tree." He stormed out of there, remembering that he was born to make someone a great king. While wandering past one of the villages, Chanakya saw a pregnant lady yearning for help. Chanakya agreed to help her deliver the child on the condition that the child would belong to him. She agreed. The child was Chandragupta Maurya. Years later, Chanakya visited the village again and saw Chandragupta playing with the village boys, pretending he was the king. To test him, Chanakya approached him and asked for alms. Chandragupta extended his arm towards a herd of cows and said, "Take those cows over there. No one here can deny my orders." With this answer, Chanakya was convinced that he would make a great king. He took Chandragupta under his wing and started training him to become a warrior and eventually a king. Together, they prepared to attack Patliputra, the capital of the Nanda kingdom. He gathered an army, and once the force was ready, they attacked Patliputra. Sadly, the siege was unsuccessful, and they lost bitterly against the Nanda army. They escaped that day, but continued to wander and create a better strategy for conquering the capital. One day, when they were resting in one of the villages, Chanakya saw a mother pouring some hot porridge on a plate for her son. The hungry child put his fingers right in the middle of the porridge to eat, but it was so hot that he burnt his fingers and yelped. The mother said, "Why would you go straight to the center? Eat from the edges first, because it is cooler. By the time you reach the center, it won't be so hot anymore." And this advice did wonders for Chanakya. He directed Chandragupta to conquer the neighboring territories first. Soon, they conquered most of the kingdom and gathered a huge army. All they needed to capture now was Patliputra, and with such a massive force behind them, it wasn't impossible anymore. Thus began the era of the Mauryan Empire, with Chandragupta Maurya as the king and Chanakya as his advisor. Along with being a royal advisor, he was also a teacher, philosopher, author, strategist, and economist. He wrote 2 books, Arthashastra, which talks about political science and economic strategies that keep a nation strong, and Chanakya Niti, which mentions some fundamental principles that can help one succeed in life. Chanakya was an intelligent man with gifted foresight. If it weren't for him, the Mauryan Empire wouldn't have lasted for 9 generations, and the world wouldn't have received the gift of his clever ways.